So today I'm going to do a combat boot repair challenge. After many years of activity and love, my favorite pair of Demonias, the Demonia Trashville platform combat boot, wore through. Now, I always buy this style from Demonia. They're vegan leather. I love them. I always get a few years out of these. These ones, like, I can't even remember the last time I bought them, so it's been a while. And yeah, they always last for me. But they finally wore through, and I could not afford right now to get a new pair. Because they're a little on the pricey side. They run about around $89 plus shipping a pair, and I just couldn't do it at this moment. So I figured, okay, well, as you guys know, I have my brand Plastic Style is all kinds of clothing and accessories made out of refurbished and recycled vintage clothing. And things that people give me that they're not using anymore, that I completely repair, fix, rearrange, and turn into something new, and I sell them online. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm starting to get some sales on my stuff, so I'm gonna go and see if I can find a pair, a cheaper pair of similar, a generic Demonia on eBay. And I wasn't looking for a used pair because they're shoes, and I do buy used shoes sometimes, but not online because I would have to see them first. So I just wanted a cheaper, a new pair that was, that was just cheaper, that was the same kind of look. So after hours of searching on the internet and going through tons of retailers on eBay, I find this pair by Essex Glam. As you can see, it looks almost exactly like Demonia's. It was also vegan leather, side zipper. They look really similar. So I was totally psyched. And these were half the price. It was a company in England, and on the eBay it said fashion footwear, but then the invoice says Kino. So I got the impression after a little bit of research after what happened to me, which I'll get to in a second, that they probably have 20 different eBay accounts that they're selling the same products on. But it came from the UK, and so the pounds, converting the pounds to US dollars with shipping, and I ended up spending about it was about $42, $43. So it wasn't a lot, but when I get these, I open up the box and I'm like, okay, great, they look amazing. I put them on. And the first thing that went wrong was they were not sized properly. Now, the page for fashion footwear, they had a conversion chart that told you, the UK size to the US size, and it said, which one was actually a US women's 8, which is my size. So that's what I ordered. They sent the one that's supposed to be a women's US 8 to me. But when I get them, even though they have the right size listed on them and on the box and everything like that, but when I put them on, these are not a US women's 8. So, the store that was buying these from a manufacturer in China, did not know how to size them correctly because these are more like a 10. So I'm like, all right, they're huge, but whatever, they zip up, they're, they can't fall off me. So, I can make, and I wear socks anyway with them. So I'm like, whatever, I can deal with that. But that was the first thing that went wrong. Then after, and I literally had these shoes for a couple days, and I've mostly just been around the house. When I have put them on, it has literally been to run to the post office, in my car, not even running, driving in my car 5 minutes down the street, or just walking around the house a little bit. So I have not I haven't been in any mosh pits or anything like that where this should have happened. But first of all, there was a little crack in them on this one. And that's like, all right, you know, all right, I got a cheap, crappy pair of boots, but you get what you pay for sometimes. You know, I'm like, you know, whatever. You know, I was thinking, you know, whatever, you know, I can deal with it. You know, they'll get me through a few months until I make some more money, where I can get my demonias, you know, my trusted brand that I know are good. But after like putting them on, like the second time, I swear, like after literally 2 times of just like putting them on to run to the store, this happens. Now, anyone who has had a life of buying these kinds of shoes with these kinds of soles knows that eventually it is very common for that to happen. I used to work at Hot Topic years ago. I was with the company for like almost 10 years. So I know my shoes, I know my manufacturers, and like what you get, you know, what the standards usually are for the price you get. Usually, you know, a pair of shoes, you know, a pair of boots like this that cost you, you know, anywhere from like, you know, $35 to $60, you know, that are that style, that have those kinds of soles. You're usually going to get at least a year guaranteed wear out of them before that happens. Like that shouldn't happen. This is a straight out defective product. So I emailed, you know, because it said that they take returns, but to message them first on the eBay, which I did. I actually messaged them twice with photos. And I said, hey, you know, I put these on, like, you know, like I didn't even wear them around, and this happened. They're also like sized incorrectly. You know, like what can you do about this? Because if I have to pay return shipping, which I know, you know, it's standard, you know, like it's online shopping. Usually, you know, like if you have to return something, the standard is that you'll get your money back. Like that's not a problem. They'll refund your money, but usually you have to pay for the return shipping. For me, it wasn't even really like so much about the money. It's about the fact that it's like, okay, so, you know, they got cheaper shipping. For them, it only cost them like about $12 to ship because they're a big company, so they got like bulk shipping. But for me to pay for the return shipping for their defective item, it's probably going to cost me like $20, at least 15 from here to the UK. Because they're shoes, they're heavy. You know, when I used to send like a t-shirt to the UK, it was like, you know, like $13, $14, and that was years ago. So like this is probably gonna be like $20, $25. So it's like, all right, so you know, how much am I gonna get back? You know what I mean? Like if I do that and I have to pay for the shipping myself, you know, I'm probably gonna end up with, you know, 20 or $25 back at the most. And in the meantime, I'm gonna have no boots. So I figured, well, you know, I'm queen of the silver lining over here. I'm like, I'm supposed to be the refurbishing queen. So I'm just going to look at this as a challenge because I don't need to wear these forever. You know, I just need them to get me by, you know, maybe for a few months until I can afford the demonias. You know, hopefully I'll get some sales, some extra sales, and, you know, I'll be able to afford my demonias soon, which I know won't break. Or I know will refund me properly if they do, if it was defective like this is. But I figured, you know, I'm not going to go through the trouble and the hassle of waiting and just to get maybe like $20-25 back on it, and if even at all, because they're not even responsive. Instead, I'm gonna see if I can repair them myself. Because I can see exactly what happened, what the issue was, and because I stuck my hand in to investigate, I was like, what is going on? So I stuck my hand in, and I found that, like, oh, okay, there's like a little piece of the inner sole is not really glued down either. Big surprise. I wouldn't be surprised if these boots had been sent out to like 5 people before me and returned. You know, I found so that there was like a little corner that was up. And then I found there was like a little hole. There was actually like a little hole on top of it not being glued into the sole. So I'm like, all right, I can see exactly what they did. They were short on the fabric. You know, they just like they misshot it by like not even an inch. I mean, like half an inch. But personally, like I would have done, I would have done an extra inch of the vegan leather fabric there to make sure that that is all patched up and before you glue it. I mean, really, really, people, like an extra inch of vegan leather when you're a huge factory that's buying the stuff, but buying that fabric by millions of yards is not going to break the bank. Especially when you're probably getting tons of people sending these back, wanting their money back. So it just, to me, it does not pay to make a faulty item. Like, that's just negligent and stupid. Over a material like that's like we're literally talking about half an inch of fabric here. Anyway, or maybe they just don't pay their workers enough, which is probably the real case, and they, so they don't care. So because you get what you pay for. So, if you're making $1 an hour and you run out of the yard of vegan leather in a sweatshop, maybe you don't get. I'm not really like saying that. I'm just making a joke, but it could be true, I mean, when you get defective products, that's one of the things I think, especially when I don't hear back from the company, because that's very unprofessional. Anyway, but the point is, I'm going to see what I have around the house to see if I can do a miracle fix on these, because if I can, I will share with you guys what to do when your goth punk platform boots break. Because those of you that have normal ones that aren't defective like these, know that does usually happen eventually, and maybe you want to be able to salvage some of your old pairs of boots instead of having to get new ones right away. So I will get back to you guys when I see what I have around the house, because that's part of the challenge, is not to have to go buy anything and be out more money. Was to see what I have around the house to see if I can fix the situation. And I will get back to you. Okay, so let's get started trying to fix these boots. I've got on my working clothes and a little bit of glitter, because no one says you can't be fabulous while you're fixing things, right? So I looked around and we're going to see what works here. What I have, I've got some E6000. It's like an industrial strength adhesive. I've got the classic shoe goo, which I've tried before and hasn't worked, but a lot of people say that it does for them, so might give it another try. I have some Velcro, some sticky Velcro, because you just never know. And then I had a part which I know is essential, because I already investigated what was going on internally there and saw that, it was a shortage of material. So I went through my enormous collection of scrap fabric, which, when I say enormous, I have like bags and bags of scrap fabric. So, and I decided on this old school velvet, which is not a stretch velvet. It's a classic, thick, very, durable velvet. So it's not like, it's not the kind that they make leggings out of. This is like, the kind they make upholstery. It's upholstery, velvet. So we are going to get started with defective shoe number 1. And I think I'm going to start by, patching up the hole there. And I'm going to use the velvet to do that. And I might want to get myself a big thick needle and some thread too, just in case I want to go that route. But that is how we're going to start. So I went with my old standby of a needle and thread, because part of the problem here was that, whatever adhesive they used didn't have enough staying power. So needle and thread can't come unglued. So what I did is I just cut out a little piece of the velvet, upholstery velvet, and I'm sewing it on backwards with the fuzzy side facing away. And I did that so this rough side would be getting the glue. When I pick my adhesive, I wanted it to be on the surface that had the best accountability for sticking, because some fabrics are hard to fuse with glue. So you want something usually a little bit textured. So now that we've got our velvet sewn in, the next step is to choose an adhesive to reattach the foam sole. So I decided to try the E6000 industrial strength adhesive first, and what I did was I just kind of dotted both sides of both the underneath of the leather, vegan leather, and also the top of the foam. And now I'm putting my hand inside the shoe to kind of, press down and fuse these two together to make sure that it's got a good stick before setting it aside to fully dry. And this is my least favorite thing in the world, is waiting for glue to dry, because I'm really impatient and I hate to wait. But you got to make sure that you apply a little bit of pressure to get it stuck in there. Well, I got really bored of applying pressure with my hand while waiting for the glue to dry, so I figured, why not put the boots on and stand on them to apply the pressure. Now stand in the place where you were. Now face where about the place where you live. Wonder why you having people with you up confused. Check with the sun. Well, that was fun. If the E6000 doesn't work, the REM surely will. So the E6000, it did work decently, but I was still seeing kind of like a gap in the bottom that I just didn't trust. So, and I'm really impatient. So I went ahead and took the shoe goo and squirted a little bit of that in there, pressed it down for, just some extra strength, adhesion power. And the tube says it takes 24 to 72 hours to completely dry. So I will have to wait and see. But so far, with the shoe goo and my little sewing trick, this shoe is fixed. Sole reattached, baby. Happy stomping.